What's up, fellow Actitos? So, that guy right there, we're going to be doing motor mounts on. I did show how to do the one motor mount with my red van. But, so before you pass on, because you're like, I don't care about motor mounts, I just wanted to point this out. Disclaimer. So, not all mounts are the same. So, if you are going to be changing mounts on, say, an automatic or a manual, the the left side motor mount is different. Part numbers, it's different. I don't know what the difference is. They both look pretty similar, but one is actually stamped MT for manual transmission, and the other is stamped AT for automatic transmission. And I'll show you if you can see right there. It says MT. So that truck is an HH4 manual transmission. My van was an HH3 automatic transmission. So it took a different mount. I don't know what the difference is. It might be something to do with the strength of the rubber holding, the automatic transmission because it's heavier or whatever. But just be aware that when you go to change your mount, you get an automatic or a manual transmission mount. They are different. Part numbers are different. Or go ahead and try the manual and the automatic and see what happens. I don't know. I didn't want to risk it. But all the rest of them, for the rear and the right side, those are all the same. Otherwise, manual or automatic. But then again, this is stamped with MT too, so I don't know, maybe, but I think they share the same part numbers. Let's see if this one's stamped. I could have swore they shared the same part numbers with the automatic and manual. It's different. So this one's stamped with MT too. So I'm guessing all the mounts are slightly different on the automatic and manual transmission. Again, I don't know what the difference is, if it's squishier rubber, softer rubber, or whatever it is. It's definitely stamped MT, and the automatic would be stamped AT. So if you don't care about how to do it, just pay attention to the fact that the mounts are in fact different. Filling up the Patito's pool water, so let me go turn that off and I'll be right back. I'll pull the truck in and we'll get started. Anyways, got the truck pulled in here. We'll start on this easy one here, which is that guy right there. Like I said, I did a video on it already. We'll start with that easy one. And then there's one in the back. Let's see, there's one. I can't really see, but there's one in the back. And then there's one. And then there's that guy right there. That one. So we're going to just do all three because they're all pretty shot. Noticed it was pretty bad when I did the timing belt service on this thing. So let's just start fresh. Has a little bit of a vibration inside the cab, so hopefully that will eliminate that, because those ones are pretty worn out. So you're going to want to put a piece of wood like this, 2x4, on your jack. This sucker's going to be hot because I let it idle for a little while. On your jack, and then you're going to put it on the flat spot of the oil pan. Try not to put any load on it. Essentially, you just want it to hold the motor up so it doesn't drop down when we disconnect that motor mount. It might be easier taking the wheel off, but for the time's sake, we'll just leave the wheel on. But there's just 3 bolts. When you're doing a timing belt kit, you got to take that mount off anyways, so it's a good time to just replace that mount at the same time. But again, I've already done this one, so we'll do this one real quick, and the other ones I haven't done, so we're gonna figure it out. Okay, so we're gonna take the bottom one off first. That goes into the actual frame of the truck, which is a 17 millimeter. I'll use a long extension. Let's see if this little impact can get it. I might have to hit it by hand. out the big guns. 17 mil, using a 1/2 inch. There we go. And again, just make sure you got your motor on a jack or something so it doesn't obviously fall down when you unbolt this one. Probably use the impact now. Get it off the rest of the way. Handy dandy. Rigid. Good. So there's our bottom one. Just push it around the leaf spring. Okay, now here's the long 17 mil that goes up through the bottom. Set that aside. Yeah, so then there's 2 more behind that, 14 mils. Let's see if we can get that with this. I might have to get the big. Oh yeah, I did. Okay. And the other one. We'll pop those out with the impact. Okay, so let me show you. Here's why we're replacing it. It's all cracked. Cracked on both sides. And here is the MT. So that's why I think there's a difference between your automatic and your manual transmission motor mounts. I mean, they're stamped MT and AT. There's got to be a reason. So I would just try to stick with the correct mount. It might have something to do with the way the engine reacts with the stiffer mounts or whatever. I don't know. Maybe the mounts are softer for the automatic, so you get a more smoother shift, and the manuals are stiffer. I don't know. But yeah, just try to stick with the right mount. Now, you can only put these things on one way. You got your flat spot here, and then this side has like that little lip. So obviously it's not going to mount up with that lip. So make sure you hit the flat spot. And we will put these 2 bolts in there first. And your e-brake cable kind of gets in the way back here, so you just kind of have to work in front of it and behind it, and the leaf spring as well. So let's tighten those up. Now, I don't know the torque specs, but we're just going to go tight because it is a motor mount. Let me get a shorter extension so I can get more leverage on it. Okay. Get the forward one. Okay. Now, let's get the center bolt back in. 17 millimeter. See if we can get it to line up with the frame. There we go. There we go. All right, up in the frame. Whew, man, it's hot. Okay, that's pretty tight. So there's our new mount there. It's obviously floating up in space right now because we have the engine on jack stand. So let's take it off and see how it does. There, just put on the flat spot of the oil pan. All right. So it's not really sitting on the little pucky puck yet. But once it settles down, it'll squish onto the metal disc, big old washer. So that's gonna eliminate some vibration for sure. Now let's work on the other ones. Okay, so now let's work on the right side. Here's the new one. So again, that thing's got an MT stamped on it, so I'm guessing it's a little different than the manual. Automatic. Oh, I take that back. Let's see. We can actually get to it. I'm underneath the truck now. Fisheye. We can get to those bolts right up here. Just put an extension on. I'll unclip the thermal sensor. Get that out of the way so we don't break that on accident. But I can be able to get an extension right here and use this area to break it loose, because I'm sure they're going to be pretty tight with a breaker. So that's what we're going to do. Go from underneath. That's going to be the trick. Ay, caramba, that's hot. And get those two right there. That's what we're doing. And this one's going to be right next to your exhaust system, so you should probably let it cool down before you go and get wild. Those bolts aren't that tight, so that wasn't too bad. But again, make sure you got good pressure on the engine so nothing falls down on you. Yar! Yar! For real though, did I already lose my 17 millimeter? I swear. I can't keep track of nothing. I didn't think about this. I don't know how I'm going to get that mount out of there. Oh, it's not a thread. Nutted. Studded. Threaded end over there. Yeah, I didn't think about this part. How in the Billy Bob Thornton do we get you out of there? I guess we lower down the motor a little bit and then we can slide it out because it's just a little bit too high. Okay, so this one takes a little bit more work to get out of there because it actually, the way it's shaped, doesn't allow it to slide out. So I got a big pry bar. I'll show you. I stuck the pry bar right here and put the point about right there. Press it down just a little bit, just enough to be able to slide that out. So hopefully we should be able to slide. I'll show you. I don't know. Okay, yeah. Slide this one. There we go. Back in. So we'll bolt up the top two first, and then we'll hit the bottom one because we've only got to line up one bolt, which is easy. So let's tighten these top two now. Okay. Whoa. I didn't really show tightening that up, but same process as removing it. Oh my gosh, that's tiring. Well, there is our new mount, all tightened up. Shoot, I gotta plug in the sensor. Plug that guy back in there. Plug our thermal sensor in here. Our barbecue is ready light, basically. The infamous, what is that light on my dash? It looks like a barbecue. Oh, this is it. Well, apparently I'm just learning how to use clips again. Okay. So if you don't plug that back in, that's going to trip the light on your dash for sure. But new mount is in over here. So now all we have left, whew, man, I'm hungry, is this mount, which is going to be 4 bolts. Again, MT, manual transmission. Don't know. All right. So now I'm underneath the truck. You can definitely see it better. 1 bolt there. 2 bolts there. And then 1 main bolt there. So I'm just going to keep the the jack underneath the transmission right there, since it's pretty in line with it. And we'll start loosening those up and pop that one out. So I'm going to use my long extension, 1/2 inch. Go up from underneath, because it's pretty far up there, so you're going to need a long extension or something. There it is. And if worst comes to worst, we can take the whole bracket off the back of the transmission, and that won't be too difficult. So definitely, this is like a 16-inch extension. Very, very handy right now, no doubt. Let's get all the bolts out of there. So three bolts holding it in, and then one, obviously one main bolt. Here's one. This extension really comes in handy right now, that's for sure. 2. And again, just make sure that jack, you got the engine on a jack. Good, my mic is on. 3. All right. Ooh. Just kind of lay down here, think about your life and the decisions that you've made. Okay. Now our main bolt going through the center is probably a 17 millimeter, just like the rest of them. Yes, indeed it is. Might just be a little too fat for the heavy. Yeah, 3/8 is a lot better. Now is it gonna break? Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yar. Yar. Yes, sir. Nice. I'd say all in all, it wasn't too bad of a job to do all the motor mounts. Except for I may have spoke too soon. This one might be a different breed. But the rest of them are pretty straightforward. This one, again, we can remove the whole bracket if we have to, if it's super wonky to get out of there. We'll find out. Just lay back and relax. Just be careful, you do have a brake line running right behind it. Don't hit that and break it or whatever. But definitely swivel 3/8 breaker ratchet comes in huge handy, and definitely a 1/2 inch comes in handy for the tighter bolts. 100%. Can't go wrong with those sets of tools, and you could get them pretty cheap from Harbor Freight. I mean, all my stuff is Snap-on and Matco, but I mean, Harbor Freight's not bad. Get the gold-plated icon wrench and be all fancy. Fancy. Come on, this is an awkward bolt to get to. Oh, there we go. Of course, it's the longest bolt with no room. Yeah. Pachinko board. Did I just win? All right, now let's see how we can get this freaking guy out of here. Like I said, probably there's a air hose up at the top. Let's try lowering down the transmission a little bit. Lower it down a little bit. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay, so just lower the transmission down a little bit. Obviously, just being careful. Here it is. This one is definitely cracking. very floppy. So replace them all. All right, let me get the new one. Sorry, I'm not really showing like what it looks like too much under there, but I mean it's basically just those 3 bolts and the main bolt, and just lowering down the transmission to pop it out at the last second. It is kind of hard to get up in there. All right. I'll slip this guy back in there. If you get under there, you'll see the bracket that it sits in. It looks like a cup almost. And make sure we do the 1 bolt side closer to the driver's side. Slip it back up in there. Being careful with all the air hoses and brake lines and whatnot. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get the 3 bolts up in there, and then we'll just kind of finger tight, and then we'll get the 1 main big bolt. Just so we're not fighting, trying to grab all these holes to line up and whatnot. A 1/2 inch long extension. And we'll get these threaded up in here. So this is a Matco. Yeah, this is a 15 inch. Yeah. So this is a Matco 15 inch, 1/2 inch extension, which is like perfect because it droops down just lower than the axle stay, or whatever the heck this rear axle thing you want to call it. And the 1/2 inch is just enough torque to get those suckers tight and loosened up. I like to use an impact when I'm loosening stuff, but not so much when I'm tightening, because I just don't know. I don't know how tight it is. So I like to do stuff by hand, especially these, just to make sure that the motor mounts are all tight and good. Yeah. Okay. Now, this is going to be the fun part. Lining up the bolt with the hole. So we'll jack up the motor a little bit. See if we can find it. I'm just going to feel it. Oh, there it is right there. Bingo. So just kind of put your finger over the hole and just jack up the engine a little bit at a time until you feel the holes line up. Now I got the main bolt through the center end. Tighten that back down with the small 3/8 ratchet because it fits in there better. With the 17 millimeter. Yeah! Yeah! Okay, that's pretty tight. All right, now we can lower the engine back. We'll take the jack stands out. Oh, gosh. First, we'll lower the engine down. Get my yoga mat out of the way. I'm not doing yoga anymore. Why is it so wet? What's going on here? Let's get the jack stands out. And then we'll start up the engine and see if we feel less vibration in the cab. Hopefully we do. Let me get my big old pry bar out of there. Okay. All right. Yo. Let's fire it up and see how we feel. It's a little better than it was before. Oh yeah, way better. Super smooth. Well, there you have it. Changing your motor mounts on your Honda ACTY. So, like I said, I don't know what the difference is, but the automatic and the manual transmission mounts are supposedly different. They're stamped with MT, stamped with AT, different part numbers, I think. Now that I think about it, I found different part numbers for this. I wasn't even looking at part numbers for the manual, so I just assumed they were all the same, but I don't think they are. So if you're in the market to do mounts and you have an automatic, just make sure you pay attention to that, because the manual transmission mounts are all over eBay and pretty readily available. It's the automatic ones which are different, and so you got to make sure they say automatic transmission or manual transmission, or find the part number on the parts diagram and obviously figure it out that way. But really not that difficult. I think maybe this guy right here on this side was just a little bit harder than the rest, because you kind of had to pry the transmission down to slide that mount out, but super easy job. Thanks for watching, guys. Check out the website if you need parts, okgarage.com. Shoot me a message if I don't have what you're looking for, and I'll help you out. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like if you want. I'm going to keep doing videos and stuff. So cool. Take it easy, guys. See you on the next one.